The next person I'd like to introduce is actually one of my mentors and a close colleague of mine, which is Randy Thompson. Uh, he is managing partner of OKR, chairman and CEO of Valhalla, and also a proud owner of PW United, who just got promoted in the English League One to the Championship. So it's good times and happy times, and also on a board and an investor in many companies. So Randy, take it away. Let's hear your journey.
Hey, thanks a lot. And by the way, it's 5 o'clock, everybody. So cheers. Glad you're all here today. This is a good way to start off. I actually wasn't even sure after I was listening how I wanted to do this. I had a million ways to go. And this is actually a lot of times I go into these talks and I know what I want to say. And I've got about 18 things going on. So I'll take a sip of wine, breathe, and then start talking. The 3 things or 4 things I got going on in my brain right now. And by the way, you noticed I'm actually that guy. I'm the white 50-year-old investor. So isn't that awesome? I'm so excited to be that guy. It's about time is what Ashley in my office says to me. It's funny because I could talk about what it was like being an entrepreneur and going into investing and having a real passion about why I wanted to change from being an entrepreneur to an investor, because I thought the whole process wasn't fair. Or I could talk about, the experience of at Bavik. I was trying to move the slide forward. What did I do wrong? There we go. Thanks, mate. There, I might just hit next. I could talk about what it's like the 240 investors we've gone and done, and we've put 72 million into startups, and about 35% of the companies that come through Valhalla Angels. By the way, Thiazel, I thought we were friends. She forgot to mention us in the Vancouver ecosystem, but actually, Thiazel and I have had a long history of working together, and Mike Voker is actually one of my mentors, and a lot of reason I wanted to go into this space. But I don't think those companies that get funding, I don't think we've done a good job of telling you entrepreneurs what's going on behind the black curtain. And I was thinking about doing that, but I have a feeling I've done that talk a lot. So if you're really interested on kind of the investor psyche, I'll probably talk about it a little bit, but I'd really encourage you to kind of look up some of the thinking that I have around that, because I actually think investor psyche is so disconnected from what entrepreneurs believe an investor is looking for, that I really think it's love you too, by the way. Yes, love you too. It's such a disconnect between, investors need certain things to be sustainable, and they want to invest in startups and love startups. And yet I think these entrepreneurs think that, there's this evil, dark heart going on in their investors. And as Colin already said, all the people that are investors actually came out of being startups. And I think there's an element of also the third thing that was going on in my brain is, what's the difference between an angel, a VC, and a private equity fund or a hedge fund in the corporate finance world? And then the fourth thing that was going on in my brain was, what's going on as a trend in the angel space is really, really important for all of you to realize. And that's why I love doing both Valhalla and OKR. I love the equity in the angel space and the VC space, but I also realize that this venture debt space that's emerging in the last 24 or 36 months is so critical for entrepreneurs, because you can actually get funded without giving up kind of control and equity. So there's a lot going on. So I'm going to see within 14 minutes, 12 now, if I can actually tie 4 strands together, and you can all give me a big at the end or a yay if it works. And I think we have to start with why we're here tonight, is to talk about the investor why. And my passion actually started as I don't like writing checks. I have to be honest about that. The least interesting thing about what I do is actually writing checks. And I started as an entrepreneur, but before that I was actually an economic development geek. I was a chief of staff for the tech minister in Alberta. And so I came from a passion of how do we make the place we live better? And And when I left politics, I blame Lonnie McLean. A lot of you in Vancouver know Lonnie. By the way, I was a born and raised a North Shore boy that ended up on the wrong side of the Rockies. And my best friend was a guy on the wrong side of the Rockies who ended up in Vancouver, and he's one of the founders of Layer 7, if you don't know him. But Lonnie and I actually started our first company, Alberta SuperNet, together. And it literally started with Lonnie and I watching hockey, and Lonnie saying, "Hey, we should start a company." And I said, "Sure." Probably the worst thought process around being an entrepreneur. And I have to say that the 3 to 4 years that we had a tiger by the tail, the first internet service provider in Alberta, and just trying to hold on to that as young 20-year-olds with no engineering background and no CFO and no board of directors and all those things left me with some PTSD. And I talk about that a lot in base camp. So if you've done that, I won't spend a lot of time on that story other than to say that actually became my why when I became passionate about building an angel network and becoming an investor, which is I actually blamed investors for not understanding tech. And they were so busy doing oil and gas and real estate. It wasn't because that they were getting better returns. It's just they didn't understand tech. So my whole reason for being, my raison d'etre became, I've got to teach investors in Western Canada why they should do tech investing. And what I learned is that actually was wrong. And I have, you can call me part of the Rebel Alliance, now sold completely out to the Darth Vader's gang. But I really actually started to understand that, every company is fundable. And that's the great news for all of you. If I leave anything with you tonight, your company's fundable. But when I say that, it doesn't mean every company's investable. And we're so hung up on angel, and we're so hung up on VC, and we're also so hung up on, I raised this size around with who we're playing with, that we think that kind of our reason or our being, our cool factor, or whether we're actually making the grade as a startup, is how much we raised by who. And once you play that game, you've actually stopped really focusing on why you built a company. And I love using companies, and I know we're at Startup Vancouver, and I have this definition between startups and companies. And startups are that time where you have that little red T-shirt on, Startup Canada. I love it, but ideation stage is so awesome, and you get to do so many things and creative and spitball and change direction and all the things that go with startup. But once you actually start a company, and once you hire your first person or get your first sale, you have a responsibility that you don't have as a startup. I think it's probably like, think of yourself as like a fraternity or a sorority person as a startup, but married with children when you actually get your first dollar. Because there's this whole thing now about building something. And I don't think all of you understand that investors aren't just about the returns, they're about building something too. And they're looking for passionate founders that want to build something. Yes, that you're going to hear that all the time. Every one of us is going to say, you be you, and find your why, and all that, go get 'em camper stuff we're going to say to you. But that passion, that thing, it's got to be blended with, okay, I love you, I want to hang out with you, just doesn't mean I want to give you a check. And so connecting the why and who you are with, like, how do I get a check? Those are two different conversations. And how do I get a check is sort of like, again, being a teenager and asking your dad for $20 on a Saturday night. And they always make you ask, why do you need the money? Are you going to be responsible with it? Don't spend it all in one place. It's kind of like that. And having a conversation with an investor is about the responsible side of the why. I have a great story to tell you. This is kind of where we're like, I love starting this startup space. And Bavik, I already know you're going to have to watch me on time. I apologize. So maybe just give me a quick message in chat that says how much time I've got left. I love doing startup stuff. I really love it. But this week we had a company out of the UK, and last year they were doing $1 million a month in GMV, and we got invested in that deal. Huge, and it was like all this investor. Oh my goodness, we all got to be in, and it was like a rush to get your check in and participate in that deal, and don't miss it, right? And sure enough, that company has gone to this year doing 17 million a month in GMV, and it's growing super fast. And what happened is I took it to a couple of my Silicon Valley investor buddies, and I said, hey, we're going to do this deal. Do you guys want to participate with us in it? And they looked at it and said, you know what? No, it looks okay. It looks good, but we have the opportunity to invest in these 3 companies. And I looked at it and I was kind of so deflated because I realized I was like bringing to my cool friends what I thought was cool, and it was actually just average. And why I'm telling you that story is that I don't think a lot of you have moved from the passion to the thought process that, Randy Thompson, Thiazl, Chantal, Vanessa, Janice, they're all the people that you're going to talk to that are investors have seen 20 or 25 deals this week. And they found 25 passionate founders, and they found 25 people who found their why. And they have to figure out, they have to sift through who gets a check. There's only limited amount of money, and we love what we do. So for us, the way you change from being a philanthropist to an investor is that you don't, after you've made your first 4 checks as an investor, you just, oh, that was so cool, and you actually get it. There we go. We actually get it wrong 4 times right out of the gate. You're going to ask for more money. I'm going to get hung up on your technology. I'm going to get fascinated by a mad founder. And the worst thing is, I didn't plan for other investors to come in and participate with me. So I actually didn't worry about valuation. I didn't worry about preferred shares. I didn't worry about something called an exit waterfall. And one of the things tonight, if you want to move from being a startup to, a grown-up kid with kids, and you're about to raise money, the best thing I can teach you tonight is actually look at an exit waterfall. Because as an investor, that was actually the way I've hurt myself the most, is not understanding how money gets distributed at an exit. So you've never hurt me. Entrepreneurs, you guys have never hurt me. It's my investing colleagues who have to make returns. And the further you've gone up that food chain in investing, the Series A, Series B, New York hedge funds, those kind of people, they're very corporate, they're very bank. They have a disciplined and structured and not very heart-attached approach to investing. And they don't care why I invested in you. And they don't care if I got common shares or a convertible note. I can tell you they've set up a structure that makes sure they get returns out to their investors. And as an angel and as a VC, I've had to learn that. So there's a lot there. It's like, how do I make sure that I'm in with the cool kids? How do I make sure that, Randy and Thiazl and others can get a return so that they can go back and do more investing? The more exits we have, the more time that we're going to get more investors in, and the more time you're going to have to find more investors. Babbitt's going to cut me off. Thank goodness, buddy. But I'm really passionate about this. The last thing I'll say is you have a responsibility as an entrepreneur to all your other entrepreneurs. If you waste on investors' money, if you give them a bad experience, if they don't get to reload the gun, you've taken away capital from 11 other entrepreneurs. So be responsible, be disciplined, but have fun. There we go. Thanks, Babbitt. I appreciate it.
All good. You covered most of it. So we've got a couple of questions. And so the first one is from Connor is, what is positively unique about the Vancouver ecosystem? So focused on Vancouver, and what is it lacking? So
it's interesting because I have a thesis, and that's part of why we did OKR and Valhalla, is that 98% of the world has the same problem. And outside of Silicon Valley and Boston and New York, those places have a certain methodology, a certain way to work. The Jason Calkennises of the world call up their buddies, Travis and Reed, and they go do a deal together, right? We don't have that ecosystem. But what's unique for Vancouver, and I'd even say Toronto, is it's close to that. It's got its own ecosystem that's well established. The investors are sophisticated. They talk to each other. So that's something you should know as an entrepreneur. We all talk about you. And what's really cool in Vancouver, there's been some really good exits. And the thing about really good exits, it's not just about a good news story. It means all those investors got some more money, some wind in their sails, so they can do it again. So I think Vancouver's had some real positivity to the entrepreneur ecosystem, where a lot of times in Canada, I see a lot of this, a lot of hand wringing. And Vancouver's always held out as a place that may not be better than some of the other places, but the attitude's so much better because there's been some real good wins.
Next question. What is your favorite size of deal, and which size has given you the best return historically?
Wow. I would say early stage for me. Everyone's going to have a different answer. And that's the one thing we didn't get to is every single investor, but I think you're learning this tonight. Every single investor is different and has a different personality. But I love pre-seed. I love to be the most sophisticated angel in a pre-revenue deal. And then I've done my best there.
All right. Now going back to being this is about your journey. Who've been the three biggest inspirations in this world?
I appreciate
investing.
I don't know if somebody set you up for that, but I appreciate you saying that. So Lonnie McLean is number one. I was set to be. Everyone laughs when I say this. I was going to be a youth pastor that went into politics. And my best buddy says over a beer, let's go start a company. That moment changed my life. But Lonnie and I had actually botched our company. And we were in a big world of hurt. And two angels that I actually purposely, so this is why I appreciate Bavik doing this. I always will mention them. And Joe Saskowitz and John Corkby. And we got ourselves in a jam. We had somebody try to take over our company. And we met Joe and John at an investor event where we botched it. We did everything wrong. We did a product demo of the internet it was a monochrome screen with text. So never do a product demo, people. Never do a product demo. Anyway, we did everything wrong. And these two guys came up and said, I won't tell you why they did it, but I will tell you, they said, you don't need this amount of money. You need this much. You need this much for lawyers. We'll come in and help you. They literally were true angels. It wasn't just about the capital. They put two young kids on their way and saved us from losing our internet company. And Mike Volker.
Perfect. So I think we'll end up there, Randy. And Colin, do you have anything to add to that one?
Andy here, before we get moving on here. Most entrepreneurs, when they start out, and myself included back in the day, you don't really know what investors are looking for. Can you talk about, and all five of you here tonight have different, what we call your different investment thesis, your profile, what you're looking for, not only the stage a company's at, but even maybe the overarching purpose of what they're doing and also the sector they're in. Could you maybe quickly tell us a cautionary tale or missteps, maybe a quick do and a don't, just as far as how people that are looking for investment should behave in order to start to build a relationship rather than just become pretty much dead to you?
Thanks, Colin. So I'm about to get myself in real trouble. So the tweet of the night is going to be this. Be yourself and don't read Jason Calacanis' book. And what I mean by that is that what people don't understand is that the investor entrepreneur thing is a relationship. I want to hang out with you and I'm going to be stuck with you for 7 to 10 years. I'm like a business partner and you're like a business partner. And if I don't get authenticity, so we're all talking about investor authenticity, but Bavik mentioned the mad founder. Colin talked about how exciting his relationship was when he went to Seattle and found a group of people that just wanted to talk. We're all looking for the same thing on both sides, which is this a relationship that I want to invest in for the next 7 to 10 years? And remember, Thiazel's right. We've quit with the 3 to 5 year lie. There's some deals, the hot deals that you try to get into, and we as investors try to fight into the A+ deals, but we're not going to get them all. So we have to look at you and go, is this person real? Is this the kind of person I want to hang around with? And you should be doing the same thing. So if you come into me with this overinflated Silicon Valley, my valuation is this, we're the hottest thing you've ever seen, I'm going to, take you to the moon and back. It's a real turnoff, but I know that you're getting coached to do that. I know that you're getting coached to go over the top and give up your Canadian authenticity and be all Valley, and you don't live in the Valley. And if your deal is that good, go pitch there, and I mean that sincerely. If you think you are the one, get on a plane, go to the Valley and pitch there. But if you think all I'm just trying to do is live where I live and build a really good, solid company and give some returns to some, good, solid returns to the people around me, then, that kind of authenticity will get you funded all day long.
One late question. Do you invest in specific sectors?
I do not. Bavik will tell you he's never met a bigger deal junkie than me. I think I just love people's stories. I actually invest in people and their stories, and I'm a customer logo. That's what gets me. So if you have a story and you've got this tech, and I don't give me a demo. I actually don't even care about understanding tech, but I just know that Mercedes-Benz is going to buy 1,000 of what you're doing. I love the logo and I love you. Those are probably my two connections, and what you're doing to build culture. I would add that. So team, culture, and the customer logo. And then I'm industry agnostic.
All right. I think we've got a message from another sponsor. Is that right, Colin? To bring on board?
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Randy.